So what are your thoughts on that comment and I guess the culture that he's instilling here?
Oh, I think it's definitely true. You know, we've all that have been around here when we have been successful KU football-wise, winning football games. You can feel the difference around town. I mean, you just know it. I mean, it's you know, the Saturdays of home games are just drastically different than any other time, and the town buys into it. I mean, it's a true college town. He's 100% correct that when KU football is good, I think the whole vibe of Lawrence, Kansas is different.
And in what ways does he kind of put his fingerprint on the program so far?
Well, he just, you know, he has such a solid plan. I mean, it's not like he's trying to figure out what he wants to do. I mean, that's been figured out 20 years ago by him. You know, I mean, he's got his plan. He knows how he wants it to look, how he wants it to go, and from day one came in here and just operated, and there's been very little gray for players, coaches. I mean, it's black and white that is how he's going to operate, and so that part's been very impressive.
I know you coach safeties. Are you also responsible for the hawk position player?
We split it up based on who's in there at times, but yes.
In layman's terms, can you just describe that position?
It's an old school strong safety type spot. You know, a little bit more run fit responsibility, but really just part of the group.
Coach mentioned Bryce maybe playing more traditional safety with Azure playing hawk more. I guess how do you see that playing time dynamic working out thus far? And Kamara, I guess, how would you say he's adapting to that?
He's good. Kamara's a talented kid. You know, has a lot of skill sets. And we can. Bryce is the same way. You know, we can. Bryce, one of our better players on this team, and you know, there's plenty of roles for him to play. And he's he learns them and embraces all of them.
You have two senior leaders, two of your best players, both playing safety, and Mike Lee and Bryce Tornaden. I guess, how would you say those two have responded to kind of filling in that Daniel Wise, Joe Nadine type of senior leadership role?
Very good. You know, Bryce is a all-around leader. You know, he's a vocal guy. He does it by example. Leads that way. Mike's an extremely hard worker, and obviously through his play has developed a tremendous amount of respect from his teammates. And they show up every single day ready to go, and I think that those are the things that the Daniel Wise and those guys did, and there's no doubt that the other players respect those guys and notice what they bring.
What's that next step that Mike's game needs to take on game day? You might have already taken it this summer, but on game day, what's that next step he needs to take?
Well, he's always been an impactful player, a guy who can make a big play, obviously, and that's something other teams are aware of. I mean, they have to be aware of where he's coming from, and he's always continued to progress each and every year. He gets better at all of his skills, and he just continues to do that.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Coach, one of the things Coach Eliot and I have talked about already is, when we've been able to watch practice, we've seen what looks like an increased degree of physicality. More drills, more hitting, more contact. People obviously have been talking about the Jayhawk drill. As somebody that's been here for a while, do you see a real noticeable difference in just the approach to toughness and contact in this camp as opposed to years past?
We do. Our kids come out and practice hard, and there's obviously an emphasis on being a physical football team, and our kids have embraced that.
When you see the way that guys have embraced it and gotten excited, I mean, that's been one of the fun parts for us, is watching the Jayhawk drill and trying to get our cameras where people can actually see what's happening. The kids seem like they've really gotten fired up about that. I mean, is that something that, as a defensive coach, is that exciting for you guys to say, okay, they're not only are they working hard and doing the drills, but they're kind of taking it to the next level and saying, okay, we want to compete against each other just as hard as we can and not lose, even if it's just one very small part of practice?
Yeah, Coach Miles does a great job with getting the kids to understand that effort and energy is just part of what they do, and he they have fun. He allows them to have fun. He's obviously instilled in them the importance of that drill. He makes it important, so therefore it is important. And when the head coach stands behind it, and that, I mean, everyone knows that's his drill. I mean, he runs it. He's sitting right there in it. He's in it. So that's Coach Miles' drill, and the players get that, and he's obviously due to his commitment to the type of style that the kids know is important and buy in.
Talk about your safeties room so far through this camp. Obviously, you've got a number of leaders. You're already talking about Bryce and Mike Lee. Talk about that group, some of the other guys maybe, and who has stood out the most to you through this point in fall camp.
We really are. It's a strong group. You take Bryce and Mike. Everyone's obviously going to talk about those two. But Jeremiah McCullough is doing an outstanding job. Davon Ferguson's doing an outstanding job. Ricky Thomas is doing an outstanding job. So even though everyone talks about Bryce and Mike, those other three guys are good players who are working hard and doing it. So very fortunate to have that group of kids.
Talk about your relationship and how you've been able to work with Coach Eliot. Obviously, you've been around other staffs and other defensive coordinators and everything, and have been a defensive coordinator here. It seems like, watching practice, you guys seems like you clicked right off the bat and that things have gone well.
We have. We've known each other for a long time, a long time. And so him getting when he got here, he just came in and still was playing, and it's very fortunate to be able to have the role to sit there and help him and assist when I can and learn from him and just continue to try and develop a great defense.
Without giving too much away, when you guys have worked together and kind of figured out what it is that this defense is going to really kind of be built on this year, what we're going to pride ourselves on being able to do, what do you guys feel like maybe you're best at this point through fall camp?
Well, I think spring practice in the summertime, all that stuff was important for the learning of the system and doing that. And you always want to hang your hat on, like he talks about, is your kids playing physical, your kids doing playing the fundamental football that goes with being a well-coached football team, and hang your hat on running to the ball and tackling well, covering well, being assignment sound. So all those core things that lead to a solid defense.